Namaskaram, Vanakkam, Prem Namaste, South Africa. I'm your host, Chirdika Pillai. Yes, there is so much excitement in the air as we head into the holidays. Today on Sadhana, we also take in the festive cheer as Tigam Nathu concocts some delicious beverages to add to your festive menu. Youth in KZN celebrate their Tamil cultural heritage, and we celebrate 100 years of the Sri Venkateshwara Devasthanam in Umkhomaas. The centennial celebration of any organization is a milestone achievement. It is a time of reflection on a proud history and heritage, its traditions, values, and principles. It is a celebration of the indelible place it occupies in the hearts of its people. It was in this spirit that the greater Umkhomaas community converged to mark the 100th year of the Sri Venkateshwara Devasthanam in Fountainhead.
The story behind this temple is a very interesting one. It really started with a clay lamp. It started in the early 1900s when indentured laborers, ex-indentured laborers came out and bought pieces of land here in order to do farming. About that time, there was a serious epidemic and many lives were lost. An elderly resident over here took a clay lamp and lit it under a Selingabarat tree. That was the beginning of our temple. Later, the land around there was donated by the people who owned it, and a temple, a wooden iron temple, was built in the area. Soon, the community needed a hall, so they built a wooden iron hall. That hall became the first school in 1948.
The school itself was made up of two sections. There was no electricity, there was no running water. Correction, there was running water, but it ran in a stream between the two schools. And we got our water, we washed at the streams, but we had water tanks for drinking water. We had only 6 classrooms for 8 standards, which meant that at any time of day, 2 of the classes had to sit outside in the shade. And right here was one of those so-called platoon classes. The occasion today, of course, is about the temple. The school is now unfortunately defunct because the once very rich farming community of Fountainhead is reduced to only smaller numbers, not warranting a school. But the school persists in our hearts, and we are lucky that even though the school is no more, the temple which gave rise to the school later is celebrating 100 years of its founding.
தேடி வந்தோம் என்பம் எல்லாம் தெவிக்கும் மணி எந்த மணி தேவாதி தேவர் எல்லாம் தேடி வரும் மருதமணி.
In the early 1960s, the temple was rebuilt out of blocks. The hall was rebuilt a couple of years later. Now we have a new hall also. But sadly, the community has dwindled. Residents have moved out, land lies fallow. But the temple still hosts all the ex-residents who come back here once or twice a year whenever there's an important function.
The festivals are the Gangaman prayers that is observed in the month of May, and we also have the Purtasi, and those are the 2 main festivals that take place. Other than that, we have the Lakshmi Puja and the Saraswati Puja that takes place during the different times in the year. Now that we have the Ganesha tree there, we actually offer our prayers there first before we start offering prayers to Gangaman, so it opens the way and removes obstacles.
This This tree was struck by lightning, I would say 10-12 years ago, and it is exactly how it is after lightning struck. We just painted it over to give it some color and give it more highlight, but that's how it is. It naturally was like that, in the form of Lord Ganesha.
People who did a huge day shift on the farm with their simple plows and their animals and planting all manner of fruit and vegetable, for them to maintain a very strong religious kind of spirit, I think impressed me even as a youngster. The farmers learned from each other. They brought agricultural skills which hadn't been lost on the plantations. But no Indian here was keen on sugarcane plantation. Umkhomaas is well known as a rich fruit and vegetable farming area.
We've been here third generation farmers now, from my grandfather, my father, and now it's myself. Methods of farming has definitely changed over the years. We are obviously advancing with technology, and there is more sophisticated equipment, chemicals, seeds as well. There's a big draw to the temple. It's Lord Venkateshwara's calling.
We really didn't know the meaning of animosities and so on. We only knew friendships, and that is why we still connect on occasions like this.
This is a great day for us. 100 years is an epic day for anybody, for any organization, and we want to celebrate this.
Change is the only constant we know. The Fountainhead Temple has seen much change, from its humble beginnings under a tree to a beautiful temple structure 100 years later. Yet the one constant that still remains is the love, faith and devotion these devotees have for their Lord. Though families have moved out and on in life, there is at least one time in the year when they come back home, drawn by the dream of their forefathers of a life of hard work, humility, honesty and faith. A dream that they will always carry wherever they are today.